While people are throwing away expired eggs, Amish families are enjoying fresh ones that have been stored for over a year without any refrigeration. These 30 ancient preservation secrets use simple household items to keep eggs fresh longer than most canned goods. These methods make sure you always have fresh eggs when you need them. Water glass. Sodium silicate solution creates something remarkable when mixed with water at the perfect ratio. The Amish discovered long ago that 1 part sodium silicate to 9 parts water forms an invisible barrier around each eggshell. This isn't some modern chemical trick either. Generations of Amish grandmothers have whispered this exact formula to their daughters, and the science backs up their wisdom completely. Room temperature water makes all the difference here. Hot water destroys the delicate chemical bonds that make this preservation method work. The Amish learned this through trial and error over decades, long before scientists understood why. When you dip fresh eggs into this mixture, the sodium silicate seeps into the tiny pores of the shell and hardens, creating an airtight seal that locks out bacteria and locks in freshness. The results speak for themselves. Eggs preserved this way stay fresh for up to 18 months without any refrigeration whatsoever. That's longer than most canned goods last in your pantry. Never wash fresh eggs. Fresh eggs come with their own built-in protection system that most people destroy within seconds of collecting them. This natural coating, called the bloom, acts like invisible armor around the entire shell. Every Amish farmer knows this basic rule, yet somehow the rest of the world missed the memo. Washing an egg strips away this protective barrier faster than you can say soap and water. Eggs and soap get along about as well as cats and bath time, and both situations end with someone running away wet. The bloom seals thousands of microscopic pores in the eggshell, keeping harmful bacteria on the outside where they belong. Remove it, and you've essentially opened the door for every nasty bug in the neighborhood to move right in. The Amish have a simple test for checking if the bloom remains intact. Hold the egg up to the light and look for that slight waxy sheen across the surface. If it looks dull or feels rough, the bloom is gone and that egg needs refrigeration immediately. Room temperature storage. Most of the world thinks Americans are crazy for refrigerating eggs, and they might have a point. The Amish maintain their eggs between 68 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, and this temperature range has kept their families fed for centuries without a single case of food poisoning from properly stored eggs. Every other country on the planet stores eggs at room temperature as their standard practice. European grocery stores stack eggs on regular shelves right next to the bread and milk. Japanese convenience stores do the same thing. The Amish simply never stop following what the rest of the world considers normal. If you've been refrigerating eggs and want to switch to room temperature storage, the transition needs to happen gradually. Take them out of the fridge and let them warm up slowly over several hours. Sudden temperature changes can cause condensation inside the shell, which creates the perfect breeding ground for bacteria that you're trying to avoid. Lard coating. Rendered pig fat might sound disgusting to modern ears, but it creates the most effective egg preservation seal known to traditional cooking. Amish farms have perfected the art of rendering lard specifically for food preservation, and their results put any modern technique to shame. The rendering process requires careful temperature control and patience. Heat the fat slowly until it reaches the perfect consistency for coating eggs. Pigs probably never imagined they'd become the ultimate food preservation specialists. But then again, they never expected to help with breakfast either. Too hot and it cooks the egg right through the shell. Too cool and it won't penetrate the pores properly. Amish cooks have been getting this temperature just right for generations, and their eggs stay fresh for 6 months or longer. Lard works better than any artificial coating because it actually soaks into the shell pores rather than just sitting on the surface. This creates a deeper, more permanent seal that bacteria simply cannot penetrate. Proper storage of lard-coated eggs involves keeping them in a cool, dry place where the coating won't melt or become rancid. Salt packing. Coarse salt draws moisture out of everything it touches, including the harmful bacteria that would love to make your eggs their new home. The Amish figured out centuries ago that packing eggs in salt creates an environment so hostile to microorganisms that spoilage becomes nearly impossible. The technique requires specific layering that prevents the eggs from touching each other directly. Salt goes on the bottom of the container, Then eggs are nestled in without making contact. Then more salt covers everything completely. This method works because bacteria need moisture to survive and multiply, and salt is basically moisture's worst enemy. Fine table salt will ruin this entire process faster than you can blink. The tiny crystals pack too tightly together and create air pockets where bacteria can hide and thrive. Coarse salt allows air circulation while still pulling moisture from anything nearby. Every experienced Amish cook knows that the wrong salt type turns preservation into contamination almost immediately. The containers matter just as much as the salt itself. Amish families prefer wooden boxes or ceramic crocks that won't react with the salt over time. Wood ash magic. Clean hardwood ash creates an alkaline environment that bacteria absolutely hate, and the Amish have been using this natural preservation method longer than anyone can remember. The key word here is clean, though, because ash from the wrong sources can poison your food faster than spoilage ever could. The traditional Amish process involves sifting the ash multiple times to remove any dangerous particles or chunks of unburned material. Wood ash works harder than a teenager trying to avoid chores, and it's actually more reliable too. This takes patience, but it's the difference between successful preservation and potential disaster. Oak ash works better than any other wood type for egg preservation. Pine and other softwoods contain resins and oils that can make your eggs taste terrible and might not be safe for food contact. The Amish learned this through generations of trial and error, long before anyone understood the chemistry behind why certain woods work better than others. The mixing ratios require careful balance between preservation effectiveness and safety. Amish families pass down these exact proportions from generation to generation like precious family secrets. The only product we'll ever promote on our channel is a book by Claude Davis, a veteran prepper, about 126 superfoods and preservation methods from crisis times like the Great Depression and wartime that are impossible to find elsewhere. We decided to promote his book because we are the last generation able to share these techniques and superfoods to our children or grandchildren. It would be a shame to see this information about highly nutritious foods and preservation methods to survive crises disappear. You can also find a book about herbal remedies from Nicole Apelian on their store. If you're watching this on TV, you can look up our channel, Frugal Solutions, on your phone or tablet and find the books by clicking the link in our channel description or any other video description. Quality testing. The float test reveals more about egg freshness than any expiration date ever printed on a carton. Drop an egg into a bowl of water and watch what happens. Fresh eggs sink completely and lay flat on the bottom. Older eggs start to tilt as air builds up inside the shell. Really old eggs float completely to the surface, like tiny submarines coming up for air. Egg candling with just a simple flashlight shows you exactly what's happening inside the shell without cracking it open. Hold the light against one end and look through from the other side. Fresh eggs appear clear with a small, well-defined air pocket. Spoiled eggs show dark spots, blood rings, or cloudy areas that mean bacteria have moved in and made themselves comfortable. The shake test works exactly like it sounds. Gently shake the egg near your ear and listen carefully. Fresh eggs make no sound at all because everything inside is still firm and solid. Older eggs start to slosh as the contents break down and become more liquid. Your nose provides the final and most reliable test of egg quality. Fresh eggs smell like almost nothing when you crack them open. Underground root cellar storage. Root cellars maintain temperatures between 55 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit naturally, without any electricity or mechanical cooling systems. The Amish built these underground storage spaces long before anyone had heard of refrigeration, and they still outperform modern appliances for long-term food preservation. The secret lies in the consistent humidity levels that root cellars achieve automatically. Between 85 to 90% humidity creates the perfect environment for preserving eggs without allowing mold or bacteria to flourish. Root cellars are like nature's refrigerators, except they never break down or need repairs. Plus, nobody complains about the electric bill. Modern basements rarely achieve these conditions because they're not designed specifically for food storage. Building a proper root cellar requires understanding how earth temperatures work. Dig deep enough, and the ground temperature stays constant year-round, regardless of what's happening on the surface. The Amish position their root cellars to take advantage of natural drainage and air circulation patterns that keep conditions stable. Simple storage boxes designed for root cellar use can replicate these conditions even if you don't have access to a traditional underground space. The weekly rotation system. Egg yolks will settle and stick to the shell if left in the same position too long, which ruins both the texture and the preservation process. The Amish solved this problem with a simple rotation system that takes less than 5 minutes per week but extends freshness by months. The calendar system they use makes rotation completely foolproof. Mark your storage containers with the day of the week and simply turn all the eggs on that same day every week. This prevents the yolk from settling while ensuring that every egg gets moved regularly without having to remember individual timing for hundreds of eggs. Manual turning works better than any mechanical system because you can check each egg for problems during the rotation process. Cracked shells, unusual odors, or other warning signs become obvious when you handle each egg individually rather than just moving containers around. Traditional marking systems help track which eggs have been rotated and when. The Amish use simple pencil marks or small stamps that indicate rotation dates without damaging the shell or affecting preservation. Lime water solution. Calcium hydroxide mixed with water creates an alkaline solution so hostile to bacteria that eggs can survive in it for many months without spoilage. Amish communities have used this lime water method for generations, and it rivals water glass for effectiveness while using completely different chemistry. The mixing ratios require precision because too much lime affects the taste of the eggs, while too little fails to create the bacterial protection you need. Lime water is pickier about proportions than a chef measuring salt. One wrong measurement and dinner becomes a science experiment. Traditional Amish measurements call for specific amounts that balance preservation power with food safety and palatability. Safety precautions when handling lime are absolutely critical because calcium hydroxide can cause serious burns if it contacts your skin or eyes. The Amish teach these safety measures to their children from an early age, passing down protective techniques along with the preservation knowledge itself. This traditional method works so well because it changes the pH of the environment around the eggs to levels where harmful bacteria simply cannot survive. Nest box natural preservation. Clean, dry nest boxes provide natural preservation conditions that the Amish have relied on for generations. When eggs remain undisturbed in their original laying spot, they maintain freshness far longer than most people realize. The key lies in keeping the nest boxes immaculately clean and ensuring proper drainage to prevent moisture buildup. Amish farmers understand that disturbing eggs unnecessarily actually shortens their storage life. The natural environment of a well-maintained nest box creates ideal conditions for short-term preservation, especially during cooler months when temperatures stay consistently low. This method works best from late fall through early spring when outdoor temperatures naturally refrigerate the eggs. Proper nest box preparation involves using clean straw or wood shavings that absorb excess moisture without creating a breeding ground for bacteria. The boxes must be positioned to avoid direct sunlight and protected from rain or snow. Regular cleaning schedules prevent the buildup of waste materials that could contaminate the eggs. This traditional approach requires minimal effort while delivering reliable results for families who gather eggs daily. Seasonal outdoor storage. Winter's natural refrigeration offers perfect preservation conditions that Amish families have used for centuries. Mother Nature apparently forgot to send winter an electric bill. She just keeps the cold running for free all season long. The challenge lies in protecting eggs from freezing solid while taking advantage of consistently low temperatures that hover just above the freezing point. Protected outdoor storage methods include insulated boxes buried partially underground or placed in sheltered areas like covered porches or unheated sheds. The Amish position these storage containers where they receive indirect cooling from winter air without exposure to harsh winds or temperature fluctuations that could cause cracking. Spring and fall outdoor preservation techniques take advantage of moderate temperatures that stay cool enough to prevent spoilage but warm enough to avoid freezing damage. Weather monitoring becomes crucial during these transitional seasons when temperatures can swing dramatically within a single day. Successful outdoor storage requires understanding local weather patterns and having backup plans ready when conditions change unexpectedly. Springhouse temperature control. Springhouses represent one of the most ingenious preservation systems ever developed by rural communities. These structures use constantly flowing spring water to maintain steady temperatures year-round, creating natural refrigeration that never fails or needs repairs. The Amish built these cooling systems long before anyone invented electric refrigeration, and they still outperform modern appliances for consistency. The flowing water cooling systems work by circulating naturally cold groundwater around storage containers, maintaining temperatures between 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, regardless of outside weather conditions. This constant water movement prevents ice formation in winter while providing reliable cooling during hot summer months. Building principles for creating springhouse-like storage focus on insulation, water circulation, and proper drainage. Even without access to a natural spring, similar cooling effects can be achieved using buried pipes or containers that take advantage of consistent ground temperatures. Moving water creates better preservation conditions than still water because it prevents bacterial growth and maintains more stable temperatures throughout the storage area. Traditional straw packing. Wheat and barley straw provide excellent cushioning and insulation properties that make them ideal for egg preservation storage. Straw works better than fancy packaging because it never complains about overtime. Plus, it doubles as chicken bedding when the job is done. The Amish select only the cleanest, driest straw for food storage purposes, avoiding any material that shows signs of mold or moisture damage. The best straw types come from grain crops that have been properly harvested and stored in dry conditions. Wheat straw offers the perfect balance of cushioning and air circulation, while barley straw provides slightly denser protection for longer storage periods. Preparation methods involve checking each handful for foreign objects, excessive dust, or signs of pest contamination. Proper layering techniques ensure that eggs never touch each other directly while maintaining adequate air circulation throughout the storage container. The straw should be packed firmly enough to prevent shifting, but loose enough to allow airflow. This traditional method works better than hay because straw contains less moisture and fewer seeds that could sprout or attract insects during long-term storage periods. Cool basement corner storage. Northeast corners of older farmhouses often provide the most stable temperature conditions for egg preservation. This isn't coincidence, but rather the result of traditional building techniques that the Amish understand better than most modern contractors. These corners receive the least direct sunlight and benefit from the thermal mass of stone or brick foundations that moderate temperature swings. Finding the coolest zones requires understanding how heat moves through buildings and where cold air naturally settles. Traditional Amish house wisdom recognizes that corners away from heating sources and protected from southern exposure maintain the most consistent temperatures throughout the year. Ventilation requirements become critical in basement storage because stagnant air creates perfect conditions for mold and bacterial growth. Simple air circulation methods include strategically placed vents or fans that move air without creating drafts directly over the stored eggs. Thermometer placement should monitor both air temperature and the temperature inside storage containers to ensure conditions remain within safe ranges. Basement storage works best when humidity levels stay between 70 to 80%, high enough to prevent eggs from drying out, but low enough to discourage harmful microorganisms. Traditional sawdust storage medium. Sawmills provide an abundant source of clean wood dust that works exceptionally well for egg preservation when properly prepared. The Amish have partnerships with local sawyers who understand which wood types produce the safest sawdust for food storage applications. Hardwood sawdust from oak, maple, or cherry trees creates the best preservation medium, while softwood dust from pine or cedar can impart unwanted flavors. The specific wood types matter because different trees contain varying levels of natural preservatives, oils, and resins that affect food safety and taste. Oak sawdust contains natural tannins that actually help preserve eggs, while pine sawdust contains oils that can make eggs taste terrible and might not be safe for extended food contact. proper preparation involves sifting the sawdust multiple times to remove large chips, bark pieces, or foreign materials that could damage eggshells or harbor bacteria. Sawdust preparation takes more time than watching paint dry. But unlike paint, at least sawdust actually serves a useful purpose when it's done. The final product should feel fine and uniform without any sharp edges or oversized particles. Fine sawdust cushions eggs better than coarse materials because it conforms to the shell shape and provides even support throughout the storage period. Egg grease traditional rendering. Animal fats rendered specifically for egg preservation create superior sealing compounds that last longer and work better than any store-bought alternatives. The Amish maintain detailed knowledge about which animals produce the best preservation fats and how to render them properly for maximum effectiveness. Beef tallow, pork lard, and goose fat each offer different advantages depending on storage conditions and length of preservation needed. The traditional cooking process requires slow, steady heat that melts the fat completely without burning or creating off flavors that could transfer to the eggs. Temperature control becomes critical because overheated fat develops rancid flavors and loses its preservation properties. The rendering process can take several hours of careful attention and stirring to achieve the right consistency. Proper straining removes any solid particles or impurities that could spoil during storage or create weak spots in the protective coating. Multiple straining steps through progressively finer filters ensure that only pure, clean fat reaches the storage containers. Homemade rendering beats store-bought alternatives because it allows complete control over ingredients, processing methods, and quality standards that commercial operations often compromise for cost savings. Traditional temperature monitoring. Wine thermometers and other non-electric temperature tools provide reliable monitoring without depending on electrical power that might fail during storms or outages. The Amish prefer these simple, mechanical instruments because they never need batteries, calibration, or replacement parts that might not be available when needed most. Traditional record-keeping methods involve simple charts and notebooks that track temperature variations over time, helping identify patterns and potential problems before they affect egg quality. Temperature monitoring is like keeping track of a moody teenager. You never know what you're going to get, but you'd better pay attention. These records become invaluable for understanding seasonal temperature patterns and adjusting preservation methods accordingly. Why consistency beats perfection in preservation relates to the fact that steady, moderate temperatures work better than perfect temperatures that fluctuate wildly. Eggs handle gradual temperature changes much better than sudden swings, even if the average temperature isn't ideal. Consistent monitoring allows for adjustments before problems develop rather than discovering spoilage after it's too late to save the eggs. Proper storage container selection. Glass, ceramic, and wood containers each offer different advantages for various preservation methods, and choosing the wrong material can ruin an otherwise perfect preservation setup. The Amish understand that container selection depends on the specific preservation method being used, the length of storage planned, and the environmental conditions where storage will occur. Traditional materials work best because they've been tested over generations of use, while modern plastics and metals can react unpredictably with preservation compounds or develop problems that only become apparent after months of storage. Glass containers work perfectly for water glass or lime water methods, but can break if accidentally dropped or frozen. Ceramic crocks provide excellent insulation and chemical resistance, but weigh considerably more than other options. Size considerations prevent overcrowding that reduces air circulation and creates conditions where spoilage can spread rapidly from one egg to many others. Containers should be large enough to allow proper spacing between eggs while small enough to maintain consistent conditions throughout the storage space. Certain containers cause preservation failures by trapping moisture, allowing temperature fluctuations, or reacting chemically with preservation compounds in ways that compromise the entire storage system. Sand storage desert method. Clean, dry sand creates an excellent preservation medium that works exceptionally well in arid climates where humidity stays naturally low. Amish communities in desert regions discovered that fine sand protects eggs from temperature fluctuations while absorbing any excess moisture that could lead to spoilage. Sand storage is like hiring a bodyguard for eggs. It protects them from everything except being eaten. Sourcing safe sand requires careful attention to cleanliness and mineral content. Beach sand contains salt that will ruin eggs, while construction sand often contains chemicals and impurities. The best sand comes from dry riverbeds or quarries that produce clean silica sand without harmful additives. Traditional layering methods involve placing a thick layer of sand in the bottom of containers, nestling eggs without touching, then covering completely with more sand. The sand must be bone dry before use and stored in sealed containers to prevent moisture absorption. This method works exceptionally well in dry climates where humidity level stays below 40% year-round. Traditional pickling. Pickling solutions preserve eggs for months while actually improving their flavor over time, something the Amish have perfected through generations of experimentation. The key lies in achieving the perfect brine concentration that preserves without oversalting or creating unpleasant textures. Specific brine concentrations require precise measurements of salt, vinegar, and water that balance preservation power with palatability. Too weak and bacteria can survive, too strong and the eggs become inedible. Traditional Amish recipes call for specific ratios that have been tested over decades of use. Traditional pickling vessels include ceramic crocks and glass jars that won't react with acidic brines over long storage periods. The eggs must stay completely submerged below the brine surface to prevent spoilage. Properly pickled eggs actually improve in texture and develop complex flavors that make them more desirable than fresh eggs for many cooking applications. Cheesecloth. Wrapping protection. Cheesecloth provides breathable protection that allows air circulation while preventing dust and pests from reaching stored eggs. The Amish use this method when other preservation techniques need additional protection or when eggs require handling during storage periods. Cheesecloth wrapping is like giving eggs their own little blankets, except these blankets actually serve a purpose beyond looking cute. Proper wrapping technique involves enclosing each egg individually in clean cheesecloth, leaving enough fabric to tie securely without creating pressure points that could crack the shell. The cloth should be loose enough to allow air movement, but tight enough to stay in place during handling and storage. Cheesecloth works better than solid wrapping materials because it prevents condensation buildup that creates perfect conditions for bacterial growth. The breathable fabric also allows for easy inspection of egg condition without unwrapping, making it ideal for long-term storage situations where periodic checking is necessary. Traditional storage organization keeps wrapped eggs separated to prevent problems from spreading between individual eggs. Natural cave storage methods. Limestone caves provide naturally stable temperatures and humidity levels that remain constant throughout the year, creating ideal preservation conditions that the Amish have used wherever caves are available. These underground spaces maintain temperatures between 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit regardless of surface weather conditions. Stable temperatures occur because caves extend deep enough into the earth to reach zones where ground temperature stays constant year-round. The surrounding rock mass acts as thermal insulation that prevents temperature fluctuations from reaching the storage areas. Proper ventilation prevents carbon dioxide buildup and ensures adequate air circulation without creating drafts that could affect egg quality. Safety considerations include checking for toxic gases, unstable rock formations, and adequate lighting for safe access. Cave storage requires understanding local geology and consulting with experienced cavers to ensure safe conditions for both people and food storage. Emergency quick preservation. Rapid preservation becomes necessary when large quantities of eggs arrive unexpectedly, whether from increased laying during peak season or acquisition from other sources. The Amish maintain emergency procedures that prioritize the most perishable eggs first while applying the fastest effective preservation methods available. Emergency preservation is like performing first aid on food. You work fast, use what's available, and hope for the best results. Time-saving approaches focus on methods that require minimal preparation time while still delivering reliable results. Water glass solution can be prepared quickly and preserve large quantities simultaneously. Salt packing works fast for immediate protection while other methods are being prepared. Prioritizing techniques based on available materials means having backup plans ready before emergencies occur. The most versatile methods use common household materials that don't require special ordering or preparation. Emergency preservation often means accepting shorter storage life in exchange for immediate protection, but proper technique can still extend freshness for several months, even with rushed application. The Amish understand that speed matters more than perfection during preservation emergencies. Getting eggs into any protective environment within hours beats waiting days for ideal conditions that might never come. Quick lime water solutions work within minutes, while lard coating can be applied rapidly once the fat reaches proper temperature. Emergency situations require flexibility and willingness to use whatever preservation materials are immediately available rather than waiting for perfect supplies. Combining multiple methods. Layering different preservation techniques creates backup systems that work better together than any single method alone. The Amish often use primary and secondary preservation methods to ensure success, even if one technique fails partially. Combining preservation methods is like wearing both a belt and suspenders. It might look excessive, but nothing important is going to fall down. Which methods work better together requires understanding how different preservation approaches complement rather than interfere with each other. Water glass and cool storage work perfectly together, while salt packing combines well with controlled humidity environments. The backup system approach provides insurance against single-point failures that could ruin entire batches of preserved eggs. Testing combinations on small batches before committing large quantities helps identify which techniques work well together and which create unexpected problems. Tested combinations that work in practice often outperform theoretical approaches because real-world conditions differ from ideal circumstances. Seasonal timing strategies. Fall preservation beats spring storage in every Amish community because cooler weather provides natural assistance that makes preservation techniques more effective and reliable. Chicken-laying cycles peak during late summer and early fall, providing abundant fresh eggs when preservation conditions are optimal. Weather considerations affect preservation success more than most people realize. Humidity levels, temperature stability, and seasonal changes all impact how well different preservation methods perform. Planning preservation activities around favorable weather conditions dramatically improves success rates while reducing the risk of spoilage. Planning ahead for winter months becomes critical because fresh egg production drops significantly during cold weather while demand for preserved foods increases. Successful preservation requires starting the process before peak laying season ends, and winter weather makes fresh eggs scarce. The Amish begin major preservation efforts in late August and continue through October to build adequate supplies for winter months. Traditional wooden box construction. Specialized storage boxes built by Amish carpenters incorporate features specifically designed for egg preservation that commercial containers lack. The wood types matter because different species offer varying levels of moisture resistance, durability, and chemical compatibility with preservation compounds. Amish carpenters build boxes that last longer than some marriages, and they're usually more reliable too. Construction techniques focus on proper ventilation design that allows air circulation without creating drafts or temperature fluctuations. Joints must be tight enough to prevent pest entry, but loose enough to allow natural wood movement with humidity changes. Proper ventilation features include strategically placed holes or gaps that maintain airflow without compromising the protective environment inside the box. Moisture control features prevent condensation buildup while allowing necessary humidity levels for optimal preservation. Homemade boxes work better than store-bought containers because they can be customized for specific preservation methods and local storage conditions. Moving preserved eggs. Safe transportation of preserved eggs requires understanding how different preservation methods handle movement and vibration during relocation. Traditional packing methods protect both the eggs and their preservation medium from damage during transport while maintaining the conditions necessary for continued preservation. Maintaining preservation during transport means keeping temperature stable, preventing excessive shaking, and ensuring that preservation compounds stay in contact with egg surfaces. Some methods travel better than others, with solid coatings like lard performing better than liquid solutions during movement. Reestablishing storage systems in new locations requires understanding local conditions and adapting preservation methods accordingly. Climate differences, available materials, and storage space all affect which preservation techniques will work best in the new environment. The Amish often maintain multiple preservation methods simultaneously to ensure continuity when relocating families or establishing new communities in different regions. Troubleshooting common problems. Early warning signs of preservation failure include changes in egg appearance, unusual odors, or alterations in the preservation medium itself. Learning to recognize these signs before complete spoilage occurs can save entire batches from contamination and help identify problems with preservation techniques. Troubleshooting preservation problems is like being a detective for food, except the only mystery is why everything smells so terrible. Salvage techniques work for eggs showing minor deterioration but require immediate action and careful assessment of safety. Some preservation failures affect only surface conditions while leaving the internal egg contents perfectly safe for consumption. When to abandon preservation attempts completely depends on the extent of spoilage and the risk of contamination spreading to healthy eggs. Learning from preservation failures provides valuable information for improving future attempts and avoiding repeated mistakes. The Amish maintain detailed records of both successes and failures to build knowledge that improves preservation techniques over generations. Building your preservation system. Choosing methods based on climate and available resources ensures that preservation efforts match local conditions and material availability. Different regions require different approaches because humidity, temperature, and seasonal patterns vary significantly across geographic areas. Creating backup plans prevents total loss when primary preservation methods encounter unexpected problems or failures. Scaling techniques for different family sizes means adjusting quantities and container sizes while maintaining the proper ratios and conditions that make preservation successful. Mastering 3 to 4 reliable methods beats attempting every possible technique because thorough understanding of fewer methods produces better results than superficial knowledge of many approaches. The Amish focus on perfecting the preservation methods that work best in their specific environment rather than trying to use every available technique simultaneously. These time-tested Amish preservation methods prove that fresh eggs can last over a year without refrigeration. From water glass solutions to simple salt packing, these traditional secrets can save you hundreds of dollars while ensuring you never run out of eggs. Start with just 2 or 3 techniques that match your available materials, then expand your knowledge as you gain confidence.